I think if you're lacking training and you don't know how to do a lot of advanced procedures like restorative work, cosmetic work, and implant work, I think doing bread and butter dentistry is going to be very hard to succeed owning a practice, to be honest.
I didn't think I would ever do a fucking podcast. I didn't ever imagine doing that. It made me realize that my purpose is to help others reach the goals and reach their full capacity. And if I can impact somebody's life, that is bigger than money. That is bigger than anything else.
Welcome to Lifestream. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Plains, with my co-host, Jeremy Applegate, where we teach you how to stream your life. This episode's a little different. We're going to be doing some Q&As today. We've been getting some questions that been being asked to our team members and our marketing team that they want us to answer. So, Jeremy, go for it. What is out there, man?
Yeah, we got 1, 2, 3. It looks like we got about 4 different questions here that we want to try to address today.
Okay.
Number 1 is from Anonymous. Ooh.
Those can never be good.
How does a practice get ready for a downturn in the market?
I told you it couldn't be good.
That's why it's anonymous.
So, yeah, that's a great question. So what are you supposed to do, right, in order to get ready for when there's a downturn? Well, we're facing one right now. So I hope you've been getting ready for the last 6 to 9 months for what is present right now, what is coming for the future. I'm hoping that 2024 comes a lot brighter, but we're all going through major challenges right now. What you need to be doing is you got to be looking at your metrics. You got to be looking at your patient care. You got to be looking at your financials. You got to be understanding where the money's going, how it's coming in. How does your revenue cycle look like? Are you collecting above a 97%? What are your financing fees? How much money you have in your bank? Are you doing your end of days? Are the checks being deposited? I'm going through a long list of things. You got to be writing these all down because it's very important that you start understanding the ins and outs of your business. A lot of these doctors, you walk in, they don't even know what they're collecting, what their production report looks like, what their collection reports looks like, how much they're even getting paid per crown through an insurance company like Blue Cross Blue Shields or MetLife. So you got to understand what you're getting paid. The treatment plans need to be clear and concise. You got to understand the ins and outs of your business because if you don't, that's how you get yourself in a lot of trouble.
100%. I mean, that really is a blanket statement for all business owners.
Yeah.
Right? Watch your bottom line. Watch your expenses. Don't overspend. I mean, your team's going to want Christmas bonuses. You need to make sure that you build all that stuff in.
What is that? Christmas bonus?
Yeah, what is a Christmas bonus? I don't even know. But build that in, and whatever, you guys just have to watch your expenses. And here's the challenge, too. You know, if you have an individual CPA for your business, you have to stay on top of them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they will not
Remember,
be
these
efficient.
are vendors that work, you pay them, right?
Yep, you pay them.
But we got to be on top of them. We've had 3 or 4 different CPAs during the transition of the Plains Dental Group, and we got to be on top of all of them. Even if they're the best of the town or the best in the state, you got to be on top of them because if not, they run a business. They have their own responsibilities. They have 200 clients just like you, so you got to make sure that you're on top of them. But you got to look at your numbers. You got to understand your metrics. You got to look at your open hours. You're huge into looking at open hours.
Yep. Doctor
production. How much are we producing that day? How much are we actually collecting? What is the sense of producing $10,000 and only collecting $4,000? You're not collecting money. You're not making profit. So you got to break it down every single day.
Two big things that I'm sorry to cut you off there, but the 2 big things that I really focus on and we as an operations team focus on is percent of schedule and open doctor hours and open hygiene hours because that obviously impacts revenue, which in turn impacts collections, right?
Absolutely. And it's very important that if you own one practice, make sure that every single morning you show up 30 minutes early. A lot of these doctors are walking in at 8:05. This is what I used to do. You come in a little earlier or at least during your lunch break. Make sure that you look at your deposits and make sure that all the money that was actually in the end of the day actually shows up to the bank. It's very important because that's how you avoid embezzlement. So you got to be very calculated and cautious and who you trust. Another thing you got to do is make sure your cash is all accounted for. And we're elaborating on a lot of different topics, but to answer this question to Anonymous, the most important thing is understanding your metrics, understanding the cash coming in, the cash going out, and how you're going to hold the team accountable based on those metrics.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And this question 1 kind of leads to question 2. This is from Sean in New Jersey. Dr. Plains, have you ever made a mistake that cost you or affected your business negatively, and how did you fix it?
That's a great question, Sean. I'll be more than happy to elaborate on it. I haven't made one mistake. I've made thousands of mistakes, and that's part of it, right? The goal here is to see how fast you can get up from when you make a mistake, because if you pound on it and you're like, oh my God, I just ruined my life or I ruined the practice, that's not going to fix anything. So we made mistakes to where we've gotten marketing companies or we've gotten vendors that have been screwing us. They've been overcharging us management fees, or the vendors are not giving us the promises they've made, or we've gotten orders that are extremely elaborate or expensive through our dental supplies. Buy two cements, get 3 free, but they're doing a markup on it and they're making a lot of money and profits of it. We've used consultant companies that have taken advantage of us. The list goes on and on and on. So yes, I've made a lot of mistakes. The goal here is to, swipe it under the rug and just move forward and make sure that you continue to be proactive about not only the decisions you made that caused that error to be happening, but how you're going to get above it now and to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, well said. I wouldn't add anything to that.
No, you sure?
I'm very sure. Drop the mic on that one.
All right, awesome. I hope that answered your question, Sean.
Hey, this one comes from Natalia from Florida.
Is Natalia Romanian by any chance?
She might be.
Okay, that's a very
Eastern
name. European name. Pretty name.
Hey, I've been working at a large DSO, and now I want to start my own practice. I've put it off because I wasn't sure if it was the right thing or the right time for me. How do you know when it's the right time to start your own practice?
That's a great question. I mean, there's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a right time. If you're ready and you feel that you've been trained properly, you understand the business, you understand how to run your practice, your private practice DSO is running properly, it's producing profits, and you know how to take care of your patients, I believe it's the right time to move forward. I think if you're lacking training and you don't know how to do a lot of advanced procedures like restorative work, cosmetic work, and implant work, I think doing bread and butter dentistry is going to be very hard to succeed owning a practice, to be honest.
And I think that this is important, in my opinion, because I'm a non-dentist looking at this thing. You need to get a mentor. You need to get a hold of somebody or some kind of training process that you're going to learn the business. Because as a practice owner, you're not just a dentist, you're a business owner. And if you don't understand people embezzlement, or vendors taking advantage, or your cash in your bank doesn't match what's supposed to be in your PMS. I mean, all that stuff is important and critical stuff for the success of your practice.
Yep, exactly. You got to understand, there's no business school, right? I think there's a couple programs out there that you can get some type of business degree in dentistry. That's why we formed Lifestream U in order to help dentists not make this mistakes. I don't know it all, but we can definitely help you get your practice going and start making some profits. I mean, I've been giving free advice to a lot of my friends for years and years, and they're all making money. They're all doing very well. We collaborate on our challenges, on our wins and our losses, but they're all doing very well. So, we kind of know what we're talking about. We
kind of know. Guys, we know what we're talking about because we've failed multiple times, and we don't want to put you in that position.
I'm trying to stay humble, okay?
Well, I'm not going to be humble on this one because we actually do know, because we have failed many, many times, like you said earlier. So, just saying, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off there. My bad.
All right.
I just got mad about that for some reason.
No, you're very passionate. I love it. So, yeah, like Jeremy's saying, we do know what we're talking about, and we can help you succeed in your practice and get it going from the ground up. So, look us up.
Yep, look us up. Last but not least, from an anonymous.
Another one.
Be ready for this one. Dr. Plains, looking for some direction. I have a team of 9 between 2 practices, and lately my team has been lacking motivation. We do trainings, team activities.
Oh, culture. I love it.
But it's not improving the team as a whole. How can I improve the attitude of my team?
Tell them to wake the fuck up.
Okay, elaborate.
All right, I'm not sure if we can actually release
should-
that.
yeah.
I mean, we
can
might
edit
cut it,
that.
but I mean, I say with a lot of passion, just wake up. You got to make sure that you're holding them strict accountability. You got to be holding meetings. The culture is very important. But one big question we got to ask Anonymous is like, how many of these employees were A employees and now are B employees because that you had a C employee in the bunch or a D employee in the bunch? All it takes is one employee that's toxic and it can ruin your whole entire practice. So out of the 9, even if you have one, you got to make sure to get rid of them, because if you have an anchor in your practice, it's going to bring everyone else down, and that's really going to affect your bottom line and the growth of your business. At the end of the day, these are your employees. You got to care for them. You got to be respectful of them, but you also got to look out for your business and know when it's time to cut them loose.
Yeah, I go back to our boy Tom Smith, right? He talks about elite, check collector, and piss taker. So how many piss takers do you have in your practices?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tom said it right, and you hear, Andy and, people like Alex Hermosi, and they all talk about there's times that you just got to let go of them. I mean, you try everything. I believe in rehab, right? Because I think everyone needs 2 or 3 chances. But after a time, if they're just continue to go down and they're spiraling your practice down, I mean, it's time to let them go. It's sad, but those times you got to make decision. I know that you can invest in culture and development. We just did a huge event in February for development, leadership development, and personal development with Tom. It was a great event. Everyone was freaking motivated. Everyone was ready to go. That lasted, 3-4 days? Now people don't even talk about the meeting. So culture is a very delicate subject. I think that when you start building your practice, you got to make sure to ask the right questions from the very beginning on who you're hiring. And the process needs to be a lot more strict rather than just hiring somebody that has a nice resume or does a good interview process.
Or they have dental experience.
Or they have dental experience. You got to understand what their values are, what they want, where they want to be. That's why the PPFs are so important.
What's PPFs?
Personal, professional, and financial goals, what they're looking to accomplish, where they want to be in 1 year, 3 years. Because if they align with you, just like in any type of relationship, whether it's with your employee or your coworkers or partners or your spouse, you got to make sure to ask those questions, because that's how you get yourself in disagreements, and the communication could be really, really affected by that.
Yes, I 100% agree with that, and I think that I'm going to say small market offices or small market practices or single owner practices, you start getting involved in these DSOs, they build a pre-hire protocol.
Worklist checklist, yeah.
And a single owner practice doesn't have that. So, Doc doesn't have really a lot of time because he's seeing patients or she's seeing patients. They spend 10 minutes with an interview. Hey, they showed up for the interview, so they're going to show up for work, I'll hire them. But you need to also build in those protocols. I know it's a pain in the rear end, but you need to have them do a personality test. You need to,
screen them
and
ask them about their goals. Exactly.
Well, we talk about mission, vision, values all the time.
Yep.
Do you have your mission, vision, values built? Compare that interview, talk that interview, build your questions around your mission, vision, values.
You have to do that. It's very important. And once you start, at the very beginning, I used to do all my own interviews. And, you had so much control of the business. That's one of the biggest challenges once you start scaling, that you start losing control of the interview process, how you're hiring, the job offers that you're doing, those intimate conversations that you're having with the people you're going to be hiring and that are part of your team. So you got to make sure that the person that's going to start doing that for you follows the same prototype in the checklist, like Jeremy was saying, doing the personality test and understanding who you hire. It's very important to understand who you hire, because one bad apple can ruin the whole bunch. Even if they're a great bunch, it can seriously ruin it in less than 3 months. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, and it's really hard to recover. It's really hard to recover. Even when you let that toxic individual go, you still have some repair, you still have some follow-up, you still have some additional work to get done before you can get that culture.
There's some people that are experts in interviewing. Their resume is copy and paste. It's a beautiful resume, the best paper you can see, the prettiest font you can see, and then you're like, wow. And you hire them, and they're just completely toxic. They're disengaged. They're bad mouthing you. Even if you just make one critical task decision, they're already bad mouthing you. And immediately you got to cut that employee loose. I mean, you can talk to them several times. I believe in rehab, like I said, but you got to make sure that before they ruin your practice, you got to make sure that you have those hard conversations. Everyone avoids the hard conversations. I don't like to have hard conversations. Jeremy, do you like to have hard conversations?
Not really.
Exactly. None of us like to have hard conversations. That's why I sent Jeremy to clean all the messes up.
Well, you know, I have a famous saying, and I stole this from an HR guy that I knew at Aspen Dental, actually. The patient experience will never exceed the team experience.
Yep. And
if your culture's great, the patient can feel it as soon as they walk in the front door, and it makes all the difference in the world. If two team members are arguing with each other, patients can feel that. You know, if it's everybody's having a bad day, patients can feel that. So it's important that you make sure that the
energy needs to stay high. And it's very hard. You know, you're working, some practices see anywhere from 20 to 30 patients a day. You know, you got check-in, check-out process, hygiene, you know, dental assistants calling you. You're moving all these different parts. You know, you're wearing all these different hats throughout the day. So you got to make sure to stay positive. And it's very hard, you know, and I also do believe in burnout. So try to make sure you do at least 2 or 3 vacations a year if you possibly can, to just come feeling good and ready to go. I hope I answered all your questions. I look forward to more questions, and I'm excited, you know, for 2024 and where we're heading, because there's a lot of big changes coming and a lot of great things happening. Thank you, guys. Follow us at Dr. Alex A. Plains, Lifestream with Dr. Alex A. Plains. Have a great one.